This is Sam. Sam works in finance at his company, and he's actually quite brilliant. You would call him the virtuoso of the spreadsheet. He finds extra cash everywhere. But this, unfortunately, is what happened the last time Sam tried to tell the executive board about all that extra cash he found. Because of Sam's brilliance, he should be able to move up the corporate ladder pretty easily. But for some reason, no one seems to recognize him for his work. Does this feel like you? Unappreciated? Well, there's actually a very simple solution to Sam's problem, but not everybody likes to hear it. If you're like most people I talk to, when somebody mentions design, your eyes start to glaze over. But Neil, you say, I have a job to do. I can't be bothered to worry about pretty colors and the right pictures and all that other good stuff. And to that, I say two words, very simple words, Apple Computer. You see, in the last few years, Apple Computer stock has doubled, and then it doubled again, and recently it almost doubled again. And why exactly is that? Now, what is it exactly? You see, both of these machines are excellent. They'll both edit video, they'll both calculate spreadsheets, but for some reason I'm willing to spend 3 times more for this machine than I am for this one. And why is that? It's because of design. Now, what does that have to do with Sam exactly? Well, Sam looks at his spreadsheets and he sees something worth communicating to his boss, but for some reason, whenever he tells his boss or the rest of his team, they don't see the same things he sees. They don't seem to get why he's so caught up in this stuff. So it's got to be something in the way he communicates with them, but he's not quite sure what that is. So let's take a look at the optometrist game and see whether we can determine what it is that needs to change. Okay, so here are 2 charts. Now, which is better? Is it A or B? Here are 2 tables. Which one is better, A or B? Here are 2 diagrams. Which one is better? Is it A or is it B? Now, I've set these up ahead of time so that the B is probably going to be better than the A, but just knowing that it's better isn't enough because we need to be able to do something with that information. So let's go back and look at it one more time and try to figure out what is it about B that's better than A. So in this set of charts, what is it about B that communicates information better? In this set of tables, what is it about B that's an improvement over what you've got in A? And in this set of diagrams, what is it about B that resonates with you more than it does in A? So a lot of people hear me say the word design and their brain immediately goes to pretty colors and things like that. But before we go any further, I want to go ahead and define design for you. The definition I'm using is this one. We are trying to use artistic elements to convey a message to an audience. That's a little wordy, but let's break that down a little bit. Artistic elements. That means that text is not involved. Nothing anybody says and nothing anybody writes down is involved in this. It's all about pictures, colors, symbols, graphics of some kind. And then you notice what the next part of it says. It's not about how pretty something is, but rather it's about conveying a message. It's all about communication. So when you design something, you're trying to communicate without using words. Let's go ahead and take a look at a practical example here. You decide to go on vacation, so you fly into a foreign country. And when you get off the plane, the first thing you do is you look for a bathroom. That taken care of course, now you need to go get your check bags, and then you need to go find a taxi. The taxi takes you to the middle of the city, and at some point you need to be able to make your way around, find all those famous landmarks you want to take pictures of, and you also want to find a good place to eat. Finally, with your entire trip over, you head back to the airport and you need to make sure you hit departures instead of arrivals. You see what had just happened there? You spent a week in a foreign land. You made your way around, you understood things about that place without having to speak a word of the language. And the reason you were able to do that is all because of design. So let's extend this metaphor for just another minute or so. In this metaphor, Sam is our foreign country. Sam knows a foreign language that we don't understand. So you and I, the rest of the people in the audience, we're all tourists. Now the problem is that Sam's doing a lot of talking. And unfortunately, we don't know the words Sam's using. We don't understand them, they distract us, they confuse us. So what Sam needs to do is he needs to find some non-verbal way of communicating the information. He needs to use design. I'm not going to lie to you. Design involves tens of thousands of little tiny things. We could be talking about this for days and days and days. But there are actually two simple pillars of design that I can use in basically every situation. They're easy to understand and they're even easier to implement. The two pillars of design I want to discuss with you in this video are contrast and repetition. So Sam wants to communicate with the rest of his team. And the first thing that you need to do whenever you're trying to communicate with somebody is establish a pattern, because everybody's brains are looking for those patterns, something they recognize, something they understand a little bit better. So in Sam's example here, with all of this data, the first thing he recognizes about this data is which parts of the data he doesn't really care about, right? If you look at this gigantic chart, there are going to be some numbers in here that don't mean anything to anybody. They're inconsequential. So the way that we, through design, communicate that some of these numbers are inconsequential is through repetition. In this case, what we'll do is we'll take the columns that are inconsequential to our overall information, and we'll use repetition of color to communicate the fact that they're all going to blend together. Don't worry about these. If you look back at the map that we looked at in the foreign country, all the places you're not going to visit are sort of a dull gray color. They all blend together. The next part is where Sam actually tells a story. The story is in the parts of the data that are actually essential. And the way he highlights these is with contrast. So what we'll do is we'll take the parts of this chart that are the real story and we'll change their color so they really pop. In the same way, on our map, those things that were landmarks, the really important touristy spots, were all highlighted on the map. And so with repetition and contrast, we are very simply communicating which elements are important in our story and which elements are not important to our story. And that's why, in our little A-B examples here, that A was never quite as good as B, because B always had a little bit more communication to it. It always had a story. So chart A doesn't have a story, chart B does have a story. Table A doesn't have a story, but table B does have a story. Diagram A doesn't have a story, diagram B does have a story. So, brilliant Sam, virtuoso of the spreadsheet, is now armed with new knowledge that helps him create a new presentation. In this presentation, he takes all of the inconsequential stuff, the stuff that confused and distracted his coworkers, and he makes that all blend together into something that everybody can ignore. He uses repetition of color, shape, size to make sure that those detail things aren't the things that people focus on. And then he finds the real story in his numbers. He highlights the real story, those important points, those detail points that absolutely have to get across. He uses contrast on those points. He highlights them with a different color, a different size, or a different shape. Through this, he's able to make tables and charts that really highlight the important message he wants to send. So now Sam is finally appreciated. He makes a little more money, he uses that money to buy a boat, and he uses that boat to do a little fishing. And they all lived happily ever after. So, one of the most important takeaways I can give you from this video is, did you notice how easy that was? Legitimately, to be better than 99% of your coworkers, realistically better than 99% of the world at what you do, you don't just make your diagrams, you don't just make your tables. You take a few extra seconds out of your day and you find the things that are inconsequential. You find the things that can sort of blend together, and you make sure that repetition points that out. You communicate a little bit more information by using repetition. And then secondly, you find the real story in the numbers. You find the important stuff and you highlight that. And you highlight using contrast. That's it. A few extra seconds from your day, and you're able to differentiate yourself from your coworkers. You're able to communicate your message better, and you're able to make a real difference in your organization. Isn't that worth the time? Isn't that worth the investment? Now that you've seen design in action, it's going to be hard to miss, right? Again, design is not about how pretty something is, but rather how practical something is, how easy it is to use. And as you make your way through this world, I want to challenge everybody, go ahead and take a few extra seconds and see if you can pinpoint things that are well designed versus things that are poorly designed. Things that are well designed, it's all over the map. Some people think that the fact that their phone has bigger buttons on it is good design because they had a hard time finding the buttons. Other people think an iPad is a fantastic design because it just has one button on the front and that's easy to use. Now on the bad design front, these can be a little bit tricky to point out sometimes. I actually have one that really frustrates me day in and day out, and that's salt and pepper shakers. You know, if you pick up a really beautiful set of salt and pepper shakers, it's almost impossible to tell which one is the salt and which one is the pepper. So every day you're sitting down at your table going, oh wait, is this a salt? No, it's pepper. Okay. So that's frustrating. So it's actually bad design. It's something that's beautiful, but it's something that's poorly designed. To me, those salt and pepper shakers where you can tell which one is which very quickly and easily, that is good design. It may not be as beautiful, but it's better designed. Good design, by its very nature, should make things obvious, should make things easy. And bad design, or lack of design, by contrast, probably frustrates people. And good design is actually pretty easy to do. Alright, that's it for me today. Please use the subscribe button up there to subscribe to the videos. Please use the like, the share, and the comment down below. And go ahead and use the comment box to let me know if there's a really great product out there that's really well designed or really poorly designed. Thanks so much for watching episode 1 of the new season, and remember, be wonderful at what you do.